one and all, it's time for your freedom's firewall, the bane of spoon-fed ready minds everywhere, fighting the human derangement syndrome at each and every turn. It's Brian, I'm in, and very glad you joined us for today's ride. So what do you say? Let's get ready to mortal up. Hello, 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 and don't forget that this is a part of the 20-minute victory because as we're going to learn here in just a little bit, thanks to my good friend Wayne, the technical director of all things good and groovy and creative here at Brawdy and Associates, is you're going to learn pretty soon. We know Al Gore created the internet. We're not saying that. We just don't want to be tagged with being the guy that broke it. That's all we're saying. So welcome to episode 476 of the Brian Brawdy Show. Don't forget, you can reach us over to mortalup.com. All kinds of cool information. We remain, as always, your cognitive bodyguard. Now, I'm told I'm not allowed to show you the picture of the Mandalorian because some budding paralegal over at somewhere, right, says, oh, well, that could be copyrighted material. So they sent me a very nasty note. So I'm working on getting a new copy or a new picture of the Mandalorian. You may go, Brian, why are you doing that? Well, don't forget, we've been called the Human Minds Mandalorian. So that we're working on that. But welcome. It's nice to see you. Thank you so very much for joining us. As we say, episode 476, I have a lot to get to today. Some personal stuff, some business stuff, some stuff for you, I'm hoping. So here's what we've come to understand, talking to everybody on the team here at Brian Brawdy Associates, and it's like, right, look, I don't want to be like QVC for conservatives over to, what is it called? Somebody radio. So I can't remember the name, right? Whatever it is. But over at some radio station where, you got all the guys that are always trying to sell you something and all the rest of this and that. We didn't want to do all that. We wanted to open all of our programming. We wanted to be able to give back. So in this time of uncertainty, although we think every time in life is uncertain, in this time of uncertainty, we wanted to begin giving back. So we're not going to be like QVC for conservatives. We'll save that for Hugh Hewitt and Mike Gallagher and who's that? Oh, Dennis Prager. We'll save it for them over at Salem. That's the word I was thinking of, Salem Radio. And we're not going to do QVC for conservatives. So you say, Bri, since you're not going to do QVC for conservatives, what are you going to do? We're going to bring 20-minute program every morning. And that program is going to be designed to prime your mind to face the craziness ahead. Just like this morning, right? If we're going to get up, if you all are going to get up and hang with us at 6 o'clock in the morning, we want East Coast. We wanted to make sure that we're giving you something that you can use. News you can use, not news you can lose, but news you can use to combat all the mashugana going on around in your world. So before we get to some more of the guts of the show today, I wanted to share this with you so we could get your opinion, see what you thought. This is one of two commercials we're going to be going over now, but this is what we hope to do. This is how we plan on getting on top of it here at the Brian Brawdy Show every Monday through Friday at least, every morning at 6 a.m. Here we go. Now, calm down. We all know that Al Gore built the internet. We just don't want to be the ones tagged with breaking it. So until the reset is official, the Brian Brawdy Show will be 20-minute victories. Only 20 minutes long, 1/72 of your day in order to prime your mind for the craziness ahead. So if you're tired of brittle brains atop balsa wood spines giving the rest of us a bad name, you could consider us your backup. The Human Minds Mandalorian. The Brian Brawdy Show, 6 a.m. Eastern. Bring it. He'll be ready for you. All right, so that's one of the first things we're going to do, right? The Human Minds Mandalorian. We're going to be ready at 6 a.m., just like this morning, to be able to jumpstart your day, to prime your mind to go, I don't care about all the craziness going on in the world. I'm going to rise to the top. So then we have that. That's kind of like our mission statement. Oh, you know what? I just got a text. Yes, let me remind everyone, we no longer have a gong. Well, it's in the other room. I built the soundproof room, allegedly soundproof, right? But it's in the other room. So in this small room, we have a prayer bowl. And if you don't remember how the prayer bowl looks, it's like this, little smaller than the gong. Boy, that's nice and loud. I love the sound of that gong. In any event, it will now be the prayer bowl heard around the world as opposed to the gong. So thank you for reminding me of that. All right, before we get to the show, I want to give you the second, because this is most heartfelt for me, right? This is the real reason that we want to continue to do programming in times like now. This is the real reason of everyone here at Brian Brawdy and Associates, and I just wanted to give you a sense of what that's all about. All right, and then we'll describe it. We'll talk about it a little bit right after we hear this. At a time of evident uncertainty, you dial 911, and just as you prepare to breathe easy and state your emergency, you're greeted with a busy signal. Hanging up, you frantically redial, only to feel your throat further tighten. You will have to face this alone. So let me ask you, when you can't call on anyone else, can you call on yourself? In times of trouble, can you put your loved ones behind your back and assure them, I've got this? When panic isn't an option, when your loved ones are counting on you, will you be prepared to succeed? Now is the time to learn how to bring confidence to any crisis, how to stare fate in the face in any situation, how to mortal up and ultimately come up on top. The Brian Brawdy Show, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Eastern, will get you ready. That's for certain. All right, so... Oh, I was supposed to be quiet during the heartbeat. All right. There's a heartbeat going on there. There's so much for me to learn. I can't even tell you. It's just a ton for me to learn. In any event, that's what we're going to be doing. So you're going, well, Bri, why would you do that? Well, as I was talking to some friends today, the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, for sure, a little bit of military, a little bit of law enforcement, but always with the concept of making certain that you're capable of handling no matter what fate throws at you. And that's ultimately what we want the show to be about. So will there still be lowlifes making headlines? Of course there'll be lowlifes making headlines. How could there not be? So we'll have a little bit of that. Will there still be our Mortal Up? Absolutely. That's going to be the biggest bulk of our show will be Mortal Up. But we also wanted to make certain that we had the ability, right? If you have a challenge, we're going to address it. If you have an uphill, we want to be the bulldozer, right? Whatever that struggle is, we want to be there to get through the struggle, like as a tag team on your side, right? So we can both be each other's cognitive bodyguard. That's what we're looking forward to doing, which leads me, to be quite honest, is to what I wanted to talk about today. When we view adversity as our advisor, did this little post up yesterday over on Instagram, over on Twitter, I believe as well. View your adversity as an advisor or go home. And for me, it's like making your obstacles your oracles, right? There's an African proverb, I believe it's where that don't look where you fell, but where you stumbled, where you tripped, right? Not where you ended up, but what caused you to trip in the first place. So if you and I look at our obstacles as our oracles, if we look at adversity as our advisors, there's nothing that can derail us because we're able to learn a little bit from every misfortune. And as you know, I believe we're stuck here in the garden of the mortals, the labyrinth of life itself, the ups, the rights, the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, the pivots, the swerves, always a cul-de-sac, never a dead end. But that's what a labyrinth means. Adventura, something about to happen. You and I can't foresee it. But what we can foresee is that we're going to rise to the challenge, whatever that challenge is. We're going to make our adversity our advisor, and we're going to learn from it. And that's what, so some of these things, I guess, are like a good combination for describing what today's show is going to be all about. That's what we hope to do, is having it so that you go, oh, I got this going on. I got that going on today. Oh, I'll tune in. And you should also know over at mortalup.com, Wayne's worked on getting the entire library together, and it's absolutely free of charge. So if you want to head over to mortalup.com and be in a position that you can go through and download. I don't even know if you have to download. I think you can just look at all the different videos, absolutely no charge. Just don't even worry about it. Everything that would normally be content for members or the like is absolutely free until, as we said today, until the reset is official. So all you and I are doing, here's the bottom line. All you and I are doing is ramping up for the reset. What we can be certain of, not the stock market, not when the lockdown will be lifted, our stay-at-home order will be our, from Southwest Airlines, you're free to move about the country. Not so much so now, right? But when those orders are lifted and it's safe for us to go out and get back to the new normal, whatever that new normal may be. Well, I'm not ready to surrender the old normal just yet. But whatever it is, we're ramping up for the reset. Whatever that's going to mean, there are going to be two types of people. People that are caught off guard by it, and people that have applied their sense of grit to it in advance, so that no matter what happens, they're able to rise to the challenge, right, of the moment at hand and get things done. So that's really all we're doing every morning at 6 a.m., like this morning with the 20-minute victory. All we're doing is making certain that you and I are ready to ramp up to face all the mashugana that could be confronting us throughout the day. And that's all we're saying is we want to be that tag team partner with you. And my experience has been, let's talk a little bit, because someone just texted me going, hey, can you talk a little more? Can I talk a little more? Yes, a little more about Hurricane Katrina. And we were having this conversation in the pre-show meeting today. One of the things I learned from Hurricane Katrina is that when there's no 911, when there's no electricity, there are no buildings, there's no water, there's no place to get food, there's no police officers. We're all in the parking lot of a Walmart sleeping in tents. That's the command center. When all that happens, some of us, not you, not me, some of us tend not to be very nice folks. And because of that, they tend to fall back on the most selfish understanding of what it means. Human gettings, right? We see this happening in New York already, where they're boarding. I don't know, I'm picking on New York. I'm from New York. We see it happening already, though, where they're boarding up all the stores because burglars are up. Cops are getting sucker punched from behind. Firemen are getting a hard time. Everyone, all the people that are trying to go like Kevin Bacon in Animal House, all is well, and he gets run down. I've seen it firsthand in the aftermath of Katrina, where you're left to your own devices. And all I'm suggesting is let's hone those devices to be pretty damn sharp. Let's hone those devices now while there's still a little bit of normalcy in the air. Let's hone those devices now so that when it happens, as I said in the script, you can tell your family to get behind you. Get behind my back. I've got this. I'm ready to take care of this. Whoever you are, whatever the size of your family is, whatever the loved ones happen to be, or your extended family, your neighbors, whoever's around, you'll be able to say to them confidently, look, it's a crisis. I'm confident I can handle it. Instead of worry and using that energy we talk about every day, look, it's my opinion that these people that are going to run around and be negative, these people that are going to run around and be human gettings, they're going to burglarize, they're going to rob, they're going to steal, they're going to create mayhem. And then there's you, the human being that knows that we can rise to those challenges. That you know that no matter what happens, and I promised I would talk about this today, if a family member, heaven forbid, is choking, do you know how to do the Heimlich maneuver? If one of your children comes in from outside with a cut, do you know how to do the most basic of first aid? If there's a fire in your house, where are your fire extinguishers? Let me just say this. With everything we've got coming, and I think you can still do it at Home Depot even, or Lowe's, I don't know, any of those kind of stores. If you don't have a fire extinguisher that's working right now, at least one on each floor of your home or one in extended areas of your apartment, if you don't have a fire extinguisher, will you please go out to Lowe's? Will you please go out to Home Depot, Ace Hardware? You probably know better than I do. Would you please go out to one of these stores and get at least one decent-sized fire extinguisher? Because it has been my experience. And these are good folks. These cops, these firemen. Oh, there's bad apples and everything, right? So everyone wants to focus on the bad apples. But these are really good, the paramedics, the doctors, nurses, really good folks. But let me ask you about your hometown. Suppose 20 calls come in the 911. There are enough paramedics to come and do CPR? There are enough cops to come and handle whatever you might be in the middle of? Is there enough of a fire department to get to your place if it's on fire and they're busy handling 10 other calls? No, of course not. They're human beings, right? There's not enough of them to go around. So all I'm simply suggesting, if you do anything after listening to the show today, is please go to your Lowe's. It'll be open here before too long. Go to your Lowe's, go to your Home Depot, your Ace Hardware, your hardware store, wherever, and get a fire extinguisher. And then they'd probably come with a little booklet or something, or you can go online while we still have internet. You can go online and learn how to use that extinguisher. Not just how to turn it on, open it, but where you should direct the spray. You know, there's all kinds of different fire extinguishers based for different types of fire. But why be in a position to have your place catch on fire, call 911, it's a busy signal, and then you're going, where do we leave the garden hose, right? You don't got time for a bucket brigade. Go get yourself a fire extinguisher, know what's going on. Now, I think I may have mentioned this the other day, but I went ahead and downloaded a lot of the texts that I've studied, first aid manuals, medical manuals, a lot of these things. I've downloaded them right to my iPad because, heaven forbid, the internet goes out because of a power outage. Well, you've got them right on your iPad, right? Or even on your phone. You can pick it up and go right here and go, oh, yeah, well, what will I be able to do with this? I'm going to follow right along. That's an excellent use of your time. Instead of us going on wherever, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, everyone's busy blaming everyone else. All I'm saying is there'll be plenty of time for blame. Let's focus on the balm now. Let's focusing on making sure that we're all going to be safe. There'll be plenty of time for blame later. So instead of being at Facebook picking fights, I think it's this, I think it's that, I think it's a conspiracy theory. Well, I think yours is a conspiracy theory. Instead of being busy pointing all the fingers, do a little bit of research. Find a place that you can buy a fire extinguisher. Find a manual that will teach you how to do the Heimlich maneuver, right? Or a manual. Download a first aid manual so that in that emergency situation, not so much emergency for you, right? You take that emergency situation, go, I got it. Don't worry. Everyone take a deep breath. Remember, we always talk about the chemicals hijacking your cognitive cockpit. Well, you're here to say, thank you, chemicals. Appreciate the effort. I really do. Thank you so much, but I'm in control. And then that, to me, in my opinion, is a more judicious use of our time than running around trying to pick what tribe is going to win the battle, right? Repubs, Dems, conservatives, socialists, liberals, progressives, anarchists, right? Instead of everyone busy pointing fingers. And if they want to keep fighting, let them keep fighting. Let them fight all the way till it tips. But you'll have used your energy to make sure that if you can't call on anyone else, you most certainly can call on yourself. And I'm here to say that it may be dormant in you, but that intellectual intrepidity, it's in you to be intrepid. And I think if you haven't ever read the story of Shackleton and the Endurance, that same energy, that same refusal to quit, that same summoning, if you will, of human reserve to do everything that he and his crew did, that's in you. There's nothing special about that guy, nothing special about that crew. They just didn't give up on the very best parts of themselves. They didn't turn a blind eye or a deaf ear. Most certainly, they didn't turn a back on their own backbone. They knew exactly what it would take to mortal up, and was it an uphill challenge? You had better believe it. But did they rise to that challenge? Study the story. So I find myself in a lot of emergency situations going, what would Shackleton do? What would Ernest Shackleton do in this particular situation? And whatever the answer is, as we talked about yesterday, bright and early, whatever that answer is, it's going to well up from inside of you. You train it like any other muscle. All right, and trying to keep how are we doing? Good on time? Oh, look at that. All right, so in order to get out of here in terms of our 20-minute victory, thank you so very much for spending the first 20 minutes of your morning, or whenever you saw this with us, wherever you happen to see the repeat. Thank you so very much. Oh, there you go. Thank you so very much for your time, and most certainly, always remember that this is the perfect time to look up, stand up, bring your own bold, and mortal up. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. And if there's anything that I can do, anything you need, anything you wonder, anything you want to complain about, I'm up for complaints. Open, 24/7, the email's open. But head on over to mortalup.com. We're adding new things all the time. You can get the video library there, Instagram there, Twitter there, I think probably Facebook. Wayne is just a magician, but we're getting all that done. So head on over to mortalup.com. We'll hook you up in any way that we can. Thank you so very much. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and we'll see you back here bright and early tomorrow morning. Thank you so very much. It's time to tune out the herd, because everything you've ever needed, you've always had. So bring your own bold, and let's go mortal up.